give Bo Nix his flowers. I think he exceeded everybody's expectations, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you have a specific question or you just want me to talk about,
Way to wax poetic about Bo. Just go
yeah, I
for
mean,
it.
look, this was an in my opinion, as close to a 10 out of 10 success season as you can have without winning a playoff game. Maybe that sounds a little crazy, but considering where the Broncos came from and where they were when they made that, pick, for them to be able to make the playoffs and for Bo Nix to have one of the best statistical rookie seasons by a quarterback ever in NFL history makes you feel really, really good about the future. Yesterday, of course, they didn't have it. They ran up against a team who's obviously way further along in the process than they are, and a team that's pretty much Super Bowl or bust at this point versus, the Broncos, who were just out there kind of getting their feet wet in the playoff experience. But this is this was a really great season, and I think the relationship between Sean Payton and Bo Nix has only just begun. And if you're a Broncos fan today, as weird as it is, waking up the day after your season ended, you had to wake up feeling good about the future of this team.
Yeah, RK, I thought there were two key moments in the game yesterday. I don't know if it would have been enough to win it, but you know, I think Sean Payton correctly realized that this was one of those games where you're basically going to play perfect across the board and get some breaks and create some of your own luck, which is why I think he faked that punt, which was, a cool play. But I thought them not taking advantage of that was a key moment in the game. You get the fake punt, but then you don't. You still end up punting anyway. That's tough to swallow. And then the play we talked about earlier in the show, which was that 4th and 1 where Josh, it seems like the Broncos did everything perfect to blow up that play, and then it turns into a touchdown in the back of the end zone on kind of a crazy catch. It just, if there was a roadmap to winning that football game, those two key plays, like their moments of the game, needed to go the Broncos' way.
Definitely, and I think you needed the breaks to go your way. You needed those key moments to go your way, and then you needed a lot of guys to play perfectly. And you saw some third down drops, some big plays missed, that sort of thing. But I saw there was like a big narrative out there that like Sean Payton looks like he called a really bad game and he called this game so conservatively and this, that, and the other thing. And as I slept on that and thought about it this morning, I think it's true in a sense that Sean Payton called a bit of a conservative game plan. And I personally think the reason for that is because he spent this whole season working on Bo Nix mentally. And I felt like everything he did was around essentially building him up as a young quarterback and making sure that he didn't have moments that knocked him down a peg. And could the Broncos have gone out there yesterday and been crazy aggressive and just say, go get him, Bo, you're going to have to outduel Josh Allen today? Yes. But I think if you do that, you expose Bo to potentially having a 3-4 interception game where it all comes crashing down. If he leaves that game feeling terrible, and then the next time the Broncos make the playoffs, he's got that kind of narrative hanging over him. And if you look at the way the Broncos played this season, like when Sean Payton got an opportunity with Bo, he would run it up. He would, have Bo Nix throwing in the fourth quarter up big, and I felt like that was trying to build up his confidence. I think when they went into this game, Sean Payton said, look, of course we want to win. We're going to go out there and give it our best shot. But the worst thing that can happen to us is what I talked about, where, Bo Nix goes into the offseason with question marks internally.
Yeah, I've definitely been there, and a young quarterback with a bad performance in a playoff game and how that can linger and the stench that it leaves. I think Bo Nix was able to avoid that. Maybe credit to some Sean Payton. But let's take a look at let's utilize perspective with this team. 4.5 was the win total over under according to Vegas going into the season, less than the Raiders, who are in their division. Obviously, Bo Nix, 6th quarterback off the board. This roster, probably it wasn't given a lot of praise going into the season. Actually, the opposite of that. Versus the measuring stick of where the Bills are roster-wise. Like, what did you make of it? Where can the Broncos go from here?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the Bills were kind of viewed as a team that was in maybe a reloading year coming
Yeah.
into this year, and Josh Allen has just played so well that it just didn't matter. But that being said, I mean, to me, the Broncos need to add skill players. It's their biggest weakness, in my opinion. And Cortland Sutton, I felt like did a great job giving them an option of a big time player on the offensive side of the football. They have a good offensive line. They just didn't have anyone other than Court who you could say like that guy's gonna go get his today. Once in a while, you saw like Lil Jordan Humphrey make a big play or Devon Vele makes a big catch. Maybe one of the running backs pops a big run, but there was no one on the team that you could say that guy's a dog. He's going to go out there. He's going to get us something today. We know that for sure. Maybe other than Bo as the season went on. So to me, that's the big thing is maybe you add a big time running back. Maybe you add a big time wide receiver, even a tight end. I was talking about this on our post game show. I said, you've heard of best player available. I think the Broncos are in best weapon available mode going into this offseason. You just have to add some juice, some stuff that makes defenses think. And, we got into a Joe Burrow conversation last week, and it was just like Joe Burrow is awesome. But he also came into a situation, especially in year 2, where he had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon on his team. From a weapon standpoint, Bo Nix couldn't be further from that right now. So I think the Broncos have to figure that out. But to your point, Bo, about what the preseason expectations were about this team, I have a couple receipts here. USA Today predicted the Broncos to go 4-13. ESPN put the Broncos in the number 31 spot in the post-draft power rankings. PFF had the Broncos with the 31st best roster in pro football. And Pro Football Network put the Broncos at the top in the race for the number 1 pick before the season, predicting them to go 3-14. So for them to make the playoffs, and even if they faltered the way they did yesterday, it's a successful season.
Oh, I'm just happy none of those were at Adam Hogue. I thought you were going to read off some receipts.
You and I was real scared too when he said he was taking out the receipts.
Don't tempt me to go search for them.
Oh yeah, I don't think I had any hate on the Broncos preseason. I don't. Well, that's wrong. There's plenty of Bo Nix stuff you could kill me.
I had some bad Senior Bowl Bo Nix stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I think a lot of people were low on Bo Nix. The real litmus test on Bo is how soon were you willing to let go of whatever, pre-draft evaluation you had on it.
But this is why the quarterback thing is so freaking crazy, because Bo Brack, you just brought up Bo Nix's Senior Bowl. That is real. He was awful there. Mm-hmm. He was horrendous. He was missing. Yeah. I was watching the coverage here in our studios. I remember, and it wasn't just one day. It was like multiple days. And he's just missing he looked like Sam Darnold last week against the Lions, just missing wide open guys in the end zone. And I'm just going like, man, I mean, he just doesn't have it. And so I guess there are times where, like, 1 week of the draft process, like the Senior Bowl, can turn Aaron Donald into, from a second round pick to somebody who should have gone even higher than he did. And then there's others where you shouldn't put too much stock in it, because obviously Bo Nix went to a good situation and has proven a lot of doubters, including myself, wrong.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, there's a lot of people. I mean, even I think when I was on this show, like week 3, I was like, man, it's not looking good right now. So it's not like I was I can't claim 100% Bo Leaf throughout the season, but he's our guy. So we're obviously riding with him. The ones that get to me are the people who are still trying to say like, not so fast. Like, even if you want to say like Sean Payton's making it easy on him, guess what? Sean Payton's going to be his coach next year as well. And I think Bo Nix has a very, very bright future ahead of him.
Let me get a little bit of a vibe check, because a week ago today, you probably, as a co-host of DNVR Buffs, were feeling pretty good about yourself that the head coach of your program, Coach Prime, was going to be staying put. Since then, Raiders' job has come open, and now, as of today, as of about an hour ago, the Cowboys are searching for a coach. How you feeling about Coach Prime and him sticking around in Boulder?
Yeah, I've never faltered on this at all. I feel very, very, very confident that Coach Prime will be the coach in Boulder next year. And look, he said over and over and over and over again that he doesn't want to coach in the NFL. And then, of course, he threw out the little, breadcrumb last week where he's like, well, if there's a situation where I can coach both my sons, I would do it. But also, I'm not going to follow them, so you'd have to hire me now and then make sure that you have the picks to be able to get it. And it was basically his just way of saying, like, here, you guys can have this one, run with it, have some talk show fodder for your shows this week. But in reality, it's not very realistic. The one that I think is a possibility, and this will drive people that crazy, especially if they don't like the Sanders, is when Shador and Shiloh and Travis are all going to be free agents a few years down the road. Maybe that's when Coach Prime makes a jump to the NFL and reunites all of his guys.
That's interesting. Yeah, maybe down the road. Let's end with this. Just I always like to get a vibe check with you, but it was I had to be a fun football season for you between Colorado and the Broncos. But both kind of ended with tough losses at the end. So just did you feel as good about Colorado season as you've made it clear about the Broncos here, where you called it a 10 out of 10 considering the expectations?
Yeah, I think that would probably be not quite a 10 out of 10. I think the Broncos were in a very different situation in terms of expectations. They pretty much had no expectations coming into the season, where Colorado, I think, nationally, people might tell you now that they had high expectations for Colorado. They didn't have very high expectations. Their win total in Vegas was 5.5. So, damn near doubled that. So it was definitely a successful season, ended a very long drought from making it to a bowl game. There's probably some meat left on the bone. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. But for all of the seasons where the Broncos went 4-13 and the Buffs went 2-10, I think we're feeling pretty darn good here in Colorado about just having a season where it was exciting to watch our team every Saturday and every Sunday.
We all sitting like the mayor